Happy Jail, filmmaker dishes on story, power struggle behind Cebu's Dancing Inmates. It was a viral video unlike anything netizens all over the world had ever seen. In 2007, a YouTube video showing the inmates of Cebu Provincial Detention and Rehabilitation Center, grooving to the beat of Michael Jackson's Thriller in synchronized harmony turned the dancing prisoners into a global phenomenon. The terpsichorean feat was harder than it looked. But while it took the inmates 4 months to rehearse Thriller, their effort didn't go unnoticed. Even the housemates of Pinoy Big Brother's Celebrity Edition that year, including future Miss World Megan Young and Orange and Lemon Mcoy Fundales, were given a task to dance with the prisoners, to the tune of Breakfast plus Rico Mambo. Their performances became so popular that they ended up getting featured in or referenced by shows like Glee and Dateline, and networks like CNN and Fox. According to Michael's choreographer Travis Payne, even the King of Pop was very happy to see the production number. Back then, it was noted that prisoner on prisoner crime inside the skirt dropped by 80%. But therein lies the rub. Netflix's 5-part must-see docuseries Happy Jail, which began streaming last Wednesday, initially sought to shine the spotlight on the so-called Dancing Inmates and the exercise-cum-rehabilitation program behind their success story. Emmy-winning Fil-Am director Michele Josue, Shepard is a friend of mine, about the evils of homophobia, describes the tale behind the inmates' rise to fame as emblematic of the Filipino people and our love of music, dance and performance. Michele began filming in 2016, around the same time President Duterte's war on drugs began. Little did she know that the tone of the documentary would take a drastic turn over the course of 3 years. Our cameras were there when the script was suddenly thrust into this new era, and its staff was overwhelmed with an influx of inmates and the pressure of it all, Michele said. What began as a straightforward film about the dancing inmates who transformed into an in-depth, humanistic document of the complexities of life at first. Suddenly, we were going beyond the dancing, stepping into the lives of those behind bars and those who strive to improve the quality of life left square bracket inside right square bracket. Happy Jail has become so much more than what we were expecting. It was an honor to bear witness to such a monumental chapter of the inmate's life, and to be entrusted with telling their stories in the honest, sensitive and respectful way they deserve to be told. The series is so binge-worthy we finished watching the whole series in one go. More than the prisoners' stories, it's also about the power struggle that plays out between the two factions in government running the program, with now Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia and her brother Byron on one side, and former Governor, and now Vice Governor, Hilario III and Marco Toril, the controversial ex-convict appointed as consultant for the prison facility, on the other. Michele doesn't just talk about the usual suspects. She also pursues the points of view of ex-warden Romeo Bobby Manansala, the dance program's choreographer Vince Rosales and some of the jail's 1,500 inmates. The story takes an even more compelling twist when inmate Arnel Mail bolts out of prison and takes Marco and his men on a wild goose chase in Argao to retrieve him. Early this week, we finally got Michele to talk to us about her riveting documentary. Excerpts from our Q&A. The biggest draw for me was to work on a truly Filipino story. But beyond that, I was excited about exploring a story that has its provocative combination of grit and complexity, but also song and dance. Shepard, my first feature, was about the life and death of my dear friend. It was a deeply personal project for me, so it was difficult in every sense of the word. For his friends and his family, it was challenging and, at times, very painful to open up about our loss. The Emmy was an unbelievable blessing that came at the very end of that journey. I was immediately fascinated by Marco's story and the fact that a former convict was in charge of the jail. He was a disruptor, and his radical approach is one we wouldn't see here in the United States. Marco and his staff wore T-hyphen shirts with the motto "Seasoned by Stress," and I feel that is an accurate summary of what I witnessed of them at the jail. Marco and Bobby were at the helm of an untenable situation. Please tell us about your Filipino roots and how you ended up doing docu. My family is from State A City in Negros Occidental. My parents immigrated to the United States when they were in their 22nd. We grew up in Maryland, but we spent every other summer in the Philippines visiting family. It was important to my parents that we always maintained our connection to the Philippines. As for my roots in filmmaking, I've always loved movies and television. When I was younger, our family would go to the movies every Sunday. In middle school, I fell in love with theater and acted in as many plays as I could. Then, I started writing my own short plays and directed all my friends in them. Later on, I went to film school, moved out to Los Angeles and worked on various films and TV shows, all while making shorts of my own. Over the years, I found that my passion was documentary film and connecting with real people and helping to empower their voices. Absolutely. That's why I love them, because it can be so surprising and challenging. You're dealing with real life and real stories, which, to me, is often more extraordinary than anything one can write. I find the documentary form so exciting and limitless. That's entirely up to the filmmaker. I personally don't think there should be any hard and fast rules in documentary or in film in general. There is no right or wrong way to tell a story. It's all about the filmmaker's unique point of view. In my first film, I was part of the narrative, and I think that choice helps drive the story home for some people. Viewers saw that Matt was a real person with family and friends who love and miss him. But with Happy Jail, our intention was to respectfully and sensitively bear witness to the inmates and what was happening inside the jail. As outsiders, it wasn't appropriate to impose ourselves into their narrative. This is their story. Shooting inside Shepard was a lot easier than I thought it would be. The conditions are extremely cramped, but we were a very small team and were really run and gun, which is how I prefer to operate on the field. I like keeping a low profile. In fact, all the inmates we interacted with were helpful to our process and genuinely cared about the project and wanted it to be successful. With the crew, we took a scouting trip to the jail to understand the lay of the land, to meet jail officials, a few of the inmates and to watch the dancing. That trip was hugely informative, and I'm glad we didn't go there completely cold. As for our inmate interviewees, we wanted to find compelling subjects who were representative of the different subgroups within the jail. Over time, certain people stood out for us. Of course, interviewing Mcoy, Vince, Rosales and Gwendolyn Garcia was essential to the overall narrative. It was uncomfortable seeing Arnel Mail's white Rodora looking helpless. The shoot in our jail was both nerve-wracking and slow. For many hours, we were all hoping and waiting in vain for Arnel Mail to show up. Our hearts went out to his wife and small children, who were suddenly thrust into this situation. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.